Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we will dive into the most explosive, jaw-dropping twist of the season as Remy Price crashes Il Giardino to expose Sheila Carter's secret abandoned child and forms a deadly revenge pact to destroy Deacon and Taylor. Oh my goodness, guys. Grab your snacks, grab your tea, and sit down, because what we are about to discuss today is going to completely change the landscape of the bold and the beautiful as we know it. I am still shaking from reading these latest developments. We all knew May Sweeps was going to bring the heat, but I don't think any of us were prepared for the absolute nuclear bomb that the writers just dropped on us. We have secret children, we have remote hospitals, we have shattered psychological facades, and we have the birth of what might be the most terrifying villain alliance the show has seen in a decade. Let's set the stage and recap where we have been for the last few weeks, because you need the context to truly appreciate the magnitude of this twist. For the past little while, we have been watching a masterclass in psychological warfare. Sheila Carter, the undisputed queen of soap opera villainy, has been playing a terrifying game of chess. After that absolutely unhinged moment where she cornered Taylor Hayes in her office with a pizza cutter, which, let's be real for a second, was peak camp, and I loved every single second of it. Sheila suddenly pivoted. She realized that going full slasher movie wasn't going to win Deacon Sharp back. So what did she do? She put on the ultimate mask. She looked Deacon right in his foolish eyes and told him she accepted his relationship with Taylor. She promised she was a changed woman. She vowed not to hurt anyone. And Deacon, bless his naive, hypocritical heart, actually believed her. Can you believe it? Deacon Sharp, a man who has lived with this woman, who helped hide her when the entire world thought she was dead after the infamous severed toe incident, actually bought the idea that Sheila Carter would just quietly step aside and let him play house with the woman she despises most in this world. It's crazy. But that has been the status quo. Deacon and Taylor have been parading their new romance all over town, giggling over breadsticks and wine at Il Giardino, completely oblivious to the fact that Sheila has been lingering in the shadows, plotting to psychologically dismantle their relationship from the inside out. But here's the kicker. Just as Sheila was perfecting her master plan to slowly poison Deacon and Taylor's romance, an absolute wrecking ball came swinging into Il Giardino. Enter Remy Price. Now, we have been speculating for weeks about Remy Price. We knew he was the mysterious voice on the other end of that scrambled phone call to Melissa Dillon. We knew he had unfinished business and a deeply hidden connection to someone on the canvas. Many fans thought he was just an abusive ex-boyfriend of Dillon's, or maybe a disgruntled former Forrester employee, but I always thought there was something bigger at play. I always felt that the writers were setting Remy up for a legacy connection, and boy was I right. Let me paint the scene for you. The restaurant is dimly lit. The smell of garlic and simmering marinara sauce is in the air. Sheila is standing near the back, her eyes narrowed, watching Deacon playfully tuck a stray hair behind Taylor's ear at a corner table. Sheila's blood is boiling, but she is keeping that fake placid smile plastered on her face. She is a predator waiting for the exact right moment to strike. And then the door opens. Remy Price walks in. He doesn't go to the hostess stand. He doesn't look at the menu. He walks with purpose straight past the dining area and corners. Sheila. What happens next is nothing short of cinematic. Remy doesn't just threaten Sheila. He completely shatters her reality. He pulls out evidence, hard, undeniable physical evidence from a remote off-the-grid hospital that Sheila visited many years ago. And what does this evidence prove? It proves that Sheila Carter gave birth to a son, and abandoned him at that hospital. Boom. Mind blown. Are you kidding me right now? Sheila Carter has another child. Let's break this down psychologically, because this is where the writing gets absolutely brilliant. To understand why this revelation is so devastating, we have to look at Sheila's history and her twisted, deeply ingrained complex about motherhood. Sheila's entire identity, especially over the last few years, has been anchored to her biological connection to John Finnegan. She has literally taken bullets, faked her death, and gone to prison all in the name of being near Finn and her grandson Hayes. She prides herself on her maternal instinct. In her warped mind, she's a fierce, loving mother bear who has simply been misunderstood by the cruel Forrester family. But this evidence from Remy, it destroys that narrative entirely. It exposes her as a hypocrite. How can she claim to be the ultimate devoted mother to Finn when she left another baby boy alone in a remote, nameless hospital to be forgotten by the world? I think this action of abandoning a child is something Sheila buried so deep in her subconscious that she almost convinced herself it never happened. Or perhaps in the chaotic timeline of Sheila's life running from Genoa City, fleeing from Los Angeles, changing her face, hiding in South America, this was a dark secret she thought was permanently erased. When Remy slides that evidence in front of her, the spoilers say Sheila completely breaks down. She is devastated. And I believe it. For the first time in a long time, we aren't seeing Sheila the mastermind. We are seeing Sheila the fractured, traumatized woman whose deepest, darkest sin has just been dragged into the light. But the drama doesn't stop there. This revelation threatens everything Sheila is currently trying to build. Remember that changed woman facade I mentioned earlier, the delicate, fragile piece she is trying to maintain with Deacon. If Deacon finds out that Sheila abandoned a child, that facade is gone forever. Deacon already sees her as a monster who shot her own son and daughter-in-law in a dark alley. The only reason he still has a shred of sympathy for her is because he believes she genuinely loves Finn and is trying to be better. If he learns she tossed another child away like garbage, he will be thoroughly disgusted. He will cut all ties. The relationship will be fractured beyond repair. So what does Sheila do? She does what she always does. She panics and she decides to hide the secret. She realizes she must bury this information at all costs to maintain her image in Deacon's eyes. But she is no longer the one in control. Remy holds all the cards. And you won't believe what happens next. This is the part that literally made me scream at my screen. Remy looks at a trembling, broken Sheila, and he makes a confession of his own. He tells her that he only just found out about this himself not too long ago. Let's pause and analyze this because the implications are staggering. Why is Remy investigating this? How did he find out? Is Remy the abandoned son? The phrasing is so specific. He just found out about this himself. If Remy is the lost son, the psychological layers here are infinite. Imagine growing up discarded, finding out your mother is the infamous Sheila Carter, tracking her down to Los Angeles and finding her obsessing over her other son, Finn, and her ex-husband, Deacon. The jealousy, the rage, the abandonment issues, even if Remy isn't the son himself, maybe he is the adoptive brother of the son, or someone who is at that hospital. The connection is profound. Remy and Sheila are suddenly bound by this massive dark secret. They are two outcasts standing in the shadows of El Giardino, looking at the shiny, happy people like Deacon and Taylor who get to live their perfect lives in the light. And then comes the twist that will define the next 6 months of this show. Remy doesn't use this information to blackmail Sheila for money. He doesn't threaten to go to the police. Instead, he looks at her and makes a vow. He vows to help her get revenge on Deacon and Taylor. He offers to be her weapon. Amazing. That is pure soap opera gold. Sheila's eyes light up. The tears dry instantly. The devastation is replaced by that chilling, familiar smirk. She's incredibly pleased. Why? Because Sheila has been trying to figure out how to destroy Deacon and Taylor without getting her own hands dirty. She promised Deacon she wouldn't hurt anyone. If she attacks Taylor, she goes back to prison and she loses Finn forever. But if Remy does it, if Remy is the Phantom Menace stalking Taylor, ruining Deacon's business and tearing their lives apart, Sheila gets everything she wants while keeping her hands completely clean. I think this alliance is going to be the most dangerous thing the Forster, Logan, and Spencer families have ever faced. Let's look back at the history of the show. Whenever Sheila Carter gets a loyal henchman, people die. Think back to Mike Guthrie. Poor, pathetic Mike who helped Sheila escape prison, who helped her kidnap people, who was completely under her spell. Mike was dangerous, but he was a bumbling fool. He was driven by a pathetic, unrequited love for Sheila. Remy Price is not Mike Guthrie. Remy's calculating. Remy uses voice scramblers. Remy knows how to dig up decades-old medical records from remote hospitals. Remy is smart, ruthless, and he has his own dark motives. A team-up between a highly intelligent, motivated newcomer and the seasoned, sociopathic genius of Sheila Carter, Deacon, and Taylor don't stand a chance. And let's talk about Deacon and Taylor for a minute because I have some very strong opinions about these two. Many fans think Taylor is this pure innocent victim in all of this, but I think she is being incredibly foolish. Taylor is a world-renowned psychiatrist. She literally wrote the book on human behavior. How is she this blind? She knows Sheila better than almost anyone. Sheila shot her, Sheila left her for dead. Sheila stole her husband, Ridge, back in the 90s. For Taylor to just waltz into Il Giardino, holding Deacon's hand, and assume that Sheila is just going to accept it and move on is an insult to Taylor's intelligence. And Deacon, don't even get me started on Deacon Sharp. I am honestly rooting for Sheila and Remy to humble him a little bit. Deacon is the king of bad decisions. Let's look at his history. He slept with his mother-in-law, Brooke Logan, while married to Bridget. He has a history of destroying the women who love him. Sheila gave up her freedom for him. She hid in his closet for months. She cooked for him, cleaned for him, and loved him fiercely. And the second Taylor Hayes bats her eyelashes at him, he drops Sheila like a bad habit and expects her to just smile and wave. It is the height of male arrogance, and I think he deserves whatever Remy and Sheila have planned for him. So, how is this going to play out? Let's dive into some theories and predictions for how this revenge pack is going to execute its plan. First, we have to look at Melissa Dillon. We know Remy has been harassing Dylan with those mysterious phone calls. Why? How does Dylan fit into this? Here's my theory. Dylan is the collateral damage. If Remy is Sheila's son or connected to him, maybe Dylan knows something about the past. Or more likely, Remy is going to use Dylan to infiltrate the inner circle. Dylan is currently living at the beach house with Will Spencer, though she just decided to move out. She works at Forrester Creations. She is deeply embedded in the lives of the Legacy families. I predict Remy is going to use his connection to Dylan to get close to the Forresters. Maybe he forces Dylan to plant evidence in Taylor's office. Taylor could lose her medical license. Think about it. Taylor is dating a former patient, Deacon. That is a massive ethical violation. If Remy tips off the medical board with fabricated or exaggerated evidence of Taylor abusing her power, her entire career is over. Sheila would love that. To strip Taylor of her prestige, her title, her respectability, that is a fate worse than death for Dr. Hayes. And what about Deacon? How do you destroy Deacon Sharp? You take away his pride and joy, Il Giardino. Deacon has worked so hard to become a legitimate businessman. He bought the restaurant, he is planning an expansion. He even got Bill Spencer to consider investing. I think Remy is going to start sabotaging the restaurant. Health code violations, mysterious food poisonings, maybe a fire in the kitchen. Remy will systematically bankrupt Deacon, leaving him with absolutely nothing. And when Deacon is at his lowest broke, and abandoned by Taylor, who will be dealing with her own ruined career, who will be there to pick up the pieces, Sheila Carter, the changed woman. It is a brilliant, flawless, diabolical plan. But the wild card in all of this is the secret child. This is the ticking time bomb that could blow up in Sheila's face. While she is busy plotting with Remy to destroy her enemies, she is living with the constant, terrifying anxiety that Deacon will find out about the abandoned baby. This is going to cause Sheila to make mistakes. We are going to see her acting erratic. We are going to see her snapping at people for no reason. Imagine the scene when Finn finds out John Finnegan, the moral compass of the show, who has struggled so hard to accept Sheila as his birth mother. He finally started to believe that she was capable of love. When he learns that she had another son and just left him in a remote hospital to rot, Finn will be disgusted. It will validate every single warning Steffi ever gave him. Steffi will be screaming, "I told you so." From the cliffs of Malibu all the way to the Hollywood sign. And let's talk about Steffi for a second. She is already in a full-blown panic about Sheila. She told Finn that if Sheila had caught Taylor and Deacon together, they would be dead. Steffi is currently distracted by the absolute circus happening at Forrester Creations with Elektra, Will, RJ, and Ivy. Side note, Ivy Forrester refusing to apologize for ruining Elektra's life is iconic villain behavior, and I am here for it. But that's a video for another day. Steffi is dealing with RJ and Will having literal fistfights in the CEO office. She is dealing with Brooke and Katie's massive fashion feud over the Logan name. Steffi's attention is divided. This makes it the perfect time for Remy and Sheila to strike. The Forresters are too busy fighting each other to see the real threat gathering at the gates. I also want to touch on the historical significance of Sheila having another child. Longtime viewers know that Sheila's family tree is the most complicated, twisted thing on daytime television. Let's do a quick history lesson. We have Mary Warwick, also known as Erica Lovejoy, her daughter with James Warwick. We have Diana Carter, her daughter with Massimo Marone. We have the twins, Ryder and Daisy, from her time in Genoa City with Tom Fisher. And of course we have Finn. Sheila uses her children as anchors to reality, but she also uses them as weapons. She used Mary to try and destroy Amber Moore. She used Diana to manipulate Massimo. She used Finn to torture Steffi. But this new son, this abandoned child, this represents Sheila's ultimate failure. It represents the part of her she cannot romanticize. She can't spin a story about how she loved this baby, but was forced to give him up by cruel circumstances. The evidence Remy brought is damning. It proves she walked away. This shatters the core of her narcissistic personality disorder. Narcissists cannot handle proof of their own flaws. When presented with undeniable evidence of their wrongdoing, they lash out or they completely disassociate. We are going to see an Emmy-worthy performance from Kimberlyn Brown as she navigates this psychological collapse. She has to play the loving, reformed partner to Deacon, the grieving, guilty mother in secret, and the vicious, plotting mastermind with Remy. It is a triple-layered performance, and I cannot wait to watch it unfold. And what about Remy's motivations? If he is the son, his vow to help Sheila get revenge is deeply pathological. It's a twisted form of bonding. You abandoned me, but I will prove my worth to you by destroying your enemies. If I destroy the people you hate, maybe you will finally love me. It is dark, it is Shakespearean. And it is exactly the kind of deep psychological storytelling that makes The Bold and the Beautiful so addictive. But let's not forget the danger Remy poses to Sheila herself. Right now, he is offering to be her weapon. He is pleased to help her. But a man who can track down decades-old hospital records and corner a serial killer in a restaurant is not a man who takes orders easily. Remy is holding the ultimate blackmail material over Sheila. The moment she steps out of line, the moment she tries to assert dominance over him, he can just hand that manila folder straight to Deacon or Finn. Sheila thinks she has found a loyal soldier, but I think she has just made a deal with the devil. She is no longer the smartest person in the room, and that is going to drive her absolutely insane. Let's predict the timeline for this. We are heading right into the thick of May sweeps. Over the next few weeks, I think we will see Taylor and Deacon getting increasingly comfortable. Maybe Deacon even proposes. Imagine that Deacon gets down on one knee at Il Giardino, surrounded by cheering patrons. Sheila watches from the bar, her knuckles white as she grips a wine glass, and right next to her, Remy whispers in her ear, "Don't worry, the trap is set." Then the sabotage begins. Small things at first. A missing file in Taylor's office. A cancelled vendor order for Il Giardino. Deacon and Taylor will think they're just having a run of bad luck. They won't suspect Sheila because in their minds Sheila is changed. They won't even know who Remy is. Meanwhile, Melissa Dillon will be dragged deeper into the web. Remy will use her as his pawn, exploiting their unfinished business. Maybe he forces Dillon to spy on Will and the Spencers, looking for financial vulnerabilities to exploit Bill Spencer, just to punish him for supporting Deacon's restaurant. The ripple effects of this alliance are going to touch every single character on the canvas. And finally, the climax. The moment the secret child is revealed to the world, I am betting it happens at a massive public event. Maybe the upcoming Logan fashion show that Katie and Bill are hosting. Imagine the runway. The lights, the press, Brooke and Ridge fuming in the front row, Deacon and Taylor attending as a public couple, and suddenly, the screens behind the runway don't show Eric Forrester's designs. They show the medical records. They show the birth certificate. They show the truth about Sheila's abandoned son. Total chaos. Deacon's jaw will hit the floor. Finn will be devastated. Steffi will go into full attack mode. And Sheila will be exposed, cornered, and more dangerous than ever before. Guys, I am telling you, this is the storyline of the year. The addition of Remy Price has injected a massive dose of adrenaline into the show. It forces Sheila out of her repetitive cycle of just glaring at people and actually puts her in a vulnerable, high-stakes position. It challenges Deacon's ridiculous hypocrisy. It puts Taylor's perfect, pristine life in the crosshairs. And it introduces a brand new mystery that ties deep into the legacy history of the show. I want to hear from all of you in the comments down below. What do you think about this massive twist? Do you think Remy is the abandoned son, or is he just someone connected to the hospital? Do you think Sheila is actually capable of feeling guilt over this? Or is she just terrified of Deacon finding out? Are you rooting for Remy and Sheila to take down Deacon and Taylor, or do you want the new happy couple to survive? Let's be real. Deacon brought this on himself, but I want to know your thoughts. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. We are going to be tracking this Remy Price and Sheila Carter alliance every single step of the way, analyzing every look, every line of dialogue, and every plot twist. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video for more deep dives into the drama, the glamour, and the absolute chaos of The Bold and the Beautiful.